So thank you, Olga, for being with us. Olga Podorovskaya, I told you about this beautiful being of light yesterday. And today you're going to have a full experience of her wisdom. Thank you, Olga, for being with us.
So Olga doesn't know why the light goes that way. She tried to do something, but here is how it goes. So Olga is not the first time here, and unfortunately, she doesn't know if there are people present who were there in this meeting last time.
Yes, there are.
Sometimes Olga says the same information in order to explain it for the new people, and sometimes it can be not that interesting. A very interesting thing happened, and Olga wants to share it. So, Olga would like to know what is your interest. Maybe you can ask her something, and it would be the dialogue, not the introduction. So you can ask the questions, you can choose the topic.
I would suggest, as a first beginning, to tell us a little bit about yourself and about the topic of today, which is bending reality. And how was your experience with this reality? We know you had many interesting experiences where reality was really expanded or shifted for you.
This is an old story. So it was like the 90s, and Olga, as well as her husband, they felt a desire to go the spiritual path. It was difficult to find information. It was the Soviet Union. The information was almost impossible to find. In that period of time, Olga had the experience, the 5 year experience of the astral projections, and her husband, he was a beginner. So they decided just to do whatever they could, so to do whatever is possible. And they experimented with the food, with the water, with how they sleep. With them, there was a group of people who experimented as well. This experience helped Olga to find out certain laws. Those patterns, those laws, they later helped Olga to develop the system of the physical immortality. And everyone had own experience because all the people are different and they practiced in a different way with a different intensivity. It was the unknown. Almost all the participants of that group, they stopped, or as Olga said, they broke because they had daily problems, the routine. They had children, husbands, wives, so they stopped the practices for their routine. Olga has not seen those people for more than 20 years, and unfortunately she doesn't know about their life. As a result, they became the Brutarians. But they were not aware that the Brutarianism exists. They didn't know what happened, and they forced themselves to eat at least once a week because they thought that that was obligatory, and they faced the unique event, the unique thing. There is a Chinese scheme. So this scheme shows the five elements of our nature. This is the wood, the metal, the earth, the air, and the ether. Of course, Olga doesn't know when this scheme was created, for how many centuries it exists, but all those elements, they are there for a reason, because those are the steps of the humans develop of our evolution. When people just start, when they just become familiar with this, they are in the state of a tree, like literally. They are very hard. All the processes, the energetical processes, the physiological processes, the psychic processes, they are very slow. So, what is needed in this stage is to ignite the fire. And there are many ways to ignite the fire. When those people who are in this state of a tree try to achieve certain results using the practices or performing the practices, the best way scenario is that there will have no results. Olga always tries to explain to her friends or to the participants of her groups, her seminars, all the results that we like were told about, all the results that we heard, especially from the great masters, from the teachers, all that teleportation, all that enlightenment, all that stuff. So all of these are the natural processes. Those masters, all of those people who had those results and who have those results, this is their natural state. They do not perform the practices. This is just their daily routine. And our goal is to hear, to recognize what lives inside us. Even the best teacher cannot give you something better that you already have inside you. So when we start to perform certain practices, basically we just receive, we find a business to do, or like a practice to do for all our life. And we think, yeah, it's okay, I have something to do, I have something to practice. Olga's idea, her manifestation, the main idea is to stop being a practitioner or the someone who performs, the performer, and to become the listener, the explorer. With this, the enlightenment helps. So enlightenment helps to realize this. That's why Olga's system, the first seminar, the first practice is the enlightenment. She shares the enlightenment. She transfers the enlightenment. And then the participants, they start to work with the energies. They start the ignition of the fire. And the person becomes like softer, as Olga said, more like plastic. And his psyche stops to experience the stress. So the body relaxes, the psyche relaxes. This organization of our life, this planning of our life, you can call it the idea of the God. The so this, so to say, destination, this idea, it has the protection system. And Olga calls it the protection from a fool. It's like a quest or a computer game. Until you finish one level, it's impossible to unlock the other level. You will not be able to go to another level, to start the another level. And here, to finish the level, to complete the level, is to realize something, to realize and to understand what blocks you, like what is not natural for you, what is not the part of your nature that blocks you from completing this level. So, the easiest example, the same example was something that the majority of Olga's students experienced, like 80% of Olga's students experienced. When they stop the physical breathing, when they start to understand that they are the light, and when this light starts to spread, basically all the teachings in the world, they are in the state when you need to do like a step, and there is the realization, there is the result, as if there is nothing to do, just you can observe the result. This is like the border, and at this moment the people, they say, oh, I cannot like go further, I cannot proceed, I have the family, I have the kids, whatever, and they start to breathe in order not to be the part of this light. And Olga sees this all the time, and she understands why it happens. The thing is that the methods that Olga shares, that Olga gives, that Olga teaches, so those methods, they were never given to the public. And even in the well-known traditional schools, uh, the master, the teacher, can share these methods only with one or two, with a few students during the whole his life. As you may know, each school, each tradition has the different practices for the monks and for the regular people. And the regular people, they were never given the serious practices. And when Olga gives the practices, it appears to be very soon for a person, like too soon to get the results. And the person says, oh, I didn't expect it that it would be that fast. I wanted it, but I couldn't even imagine that it would be that fast. There is a tradition, it's still, and there was the tradition that a monk, a student, did the physical work, swiped the floors, cleaned everything. Like for 15 years he did just the cleaning. And the purpose of that physical labor, of this physical work, was there were several of them, and one of them was for the monk, for the student, to get rid of personal identification. And the second reason was to develop the desire to finish the practice. Why Olga shares those methods like publicly for the average people, why she gives it to the average people. So first, Olga shares certain knowledge, and even if a person would not practice, he will still have this information, or she, the person will have this information, and later, if the person decides to practice, he will have all the knowledge, or she will have all the knowledge. The second thing that Olga has certain students who achieved certain high levels, certain high results, and it's a pleasure for her to see the results and to be able to share them. Those people, they live right now at several dimensions, on the physical level, on the physical dimension, and as well on the others. Those people would be very surprised if you ask them about the reality, because they live in several dimensions, in several realities. So when we finish the state of a tree and when we enter the state of the fire, we have the new qualities. This is the most difficult task, the most difficult period, to finish the state of a tree and to become the fire. And when we ignite the fire, the next state is the state of the iron, the steel. And in this state, naturally, certain processes start, and we all are familiar with them. So if you see the kung fu exercises, they have the iron shirt where they are like damaged and nothing happens to them. So, as Olga said, this state, the state of iron, would be probably desirable for a warrior, for someone who works in army, or because they feel no pain, they feel no tiredness. We can say that this stage, is a state of a demon, of an asur. And when this state finishes, the next state is the state of the water. So we become soft, we become fluent, and world becomes fluent as well. On this state, not only the surrounding world changes easily, but the physical body changes easily as well. The body can shapeshift. We can have different shape, a form of an animal, or whatever you want. And when Olga experienced that, when she experienced that state, it appeared that the past and the present can be changed as well. In the states of a tree, of a fire, of a metal, certain mistakes, they are not that critical, or they appear to be not that critical. At the state of water, everything is critical. The smallest movement becomes critical. When you like move your eyebrow, everything can be changed. And that's why Olga said that there is the protection from a fool, because the less competent the person, the less open-minded the person, the less abilities this person has. And this state, the state of water, can be compared with the state of the gods. So the last step, the last stage in this transformation, this is the state of the air, the ether, when the person has no identifications and the consciousness understands its nature and becomes totally free. And the key to this is to stop to identify yourselves with something that is not natural for you, that's something that you are not meant to be. So Olga wants to share something else, but before that, she asks, "Do you have any questions?"
My question is, how can you really integrate these practices in your daily life? Like, for example, I'm a mother with 3 kids, and if they are busy or if they are in kindergarten and I have time to do a meditation or read something for myself, then I'm so happy and I want more and more and more of this time. But I have the feeling that I'm not the same person when I leave my room and then enter in my family life. Then there are a lot of incidents, situations that trigger me, and I need to deal with the kids and find solutions and answer 3 discussions at the same time, and it's like overwhelming. And then as you remember, Olga started with this example even before you asked the question. What Olga said
And the answer to your question is that you have to change your mindset, and you will perform all the same tasks, you will do everything the same, but in the other quality. And as you remember, Olga said nothing about the meditations.
Could you maybe give us an example, like?
Да, конечно.
The easiest example. So you are breathing for 24 hours a day. And with each inhalation and exhalation, you have a choice, you have a chance. And Olga doesn't know how many exhalations and inhalations a person makes during an hour. Unfortunately, each unnatural inhalation is a step closer to the death and a step closer to miss this chance. You should not have any spare moments, any free time to inhale and exhale. And when you start to understand that, someone appears and says, I know how to breathe properly, naturally, and there are many techniques, and I will teach you right now. So you need to hold your breath for 1 or 3 or 4 seconds, or the other things, and there are always someone who wants to teach you. You can start to hear yourself, to understand your personal breathing norm, how it should work for you naturally, or you can follow those false leads. And then when you start to follow those false ideas, you start to search the time for the meditation, you start to search the time for the practices, and you have no results, you have no time for that, and you say, yeah, unfortunately it's impossible to perform this during this life. I will do it in my next life. The wonderful thing is that Olga says nothing new, and all the gained experience of all the teachers, it's the same idea. You should stop to be the someone who performs actions, the performer, and you need to be this listener, this witness. But usually the result is way different. Everything is performed in a different way. And unfortunately, we have not that much time. So Olga wants to share something with you. She wants to tell you something. But if you want to communicate with Olga, there is a possibility. And there will be the free translation on Olga's YouTube channel for 2 days. So you will be able to discuss with her all the questions. So if you have questions, you can communicate with Olga during this YouTube translation. You can find the link on that on Olga's website, olgapodorovskaya.com. And now Olga wants to tell you what she faced, what she experienced, and it's even more than she expected. It was even more than she expected. So during the last seminar, during the last group session, there was a person who was not able to start the parlung. And Olga often explains about what is the parlung. And if you are familiar with Daoism, in that system, it's called the Pearl of Immortality. If you're not familiar with the Dao system, with the Daoism, let's call this pearl, this Parlung, a sparkle of God, a part of the God which everyone wants to find out and doesn't know where to search. So it is physically located in the area of our stomach, in the area of our navel, but it's not connected with it. And this participant, this was a man, so he could not start the process. And then Olga told him, let me try to help you, let me start this process in my body and to share it with you. And actually, it was the first time when this idea appeared in Olga's head. And when the person starts the parlung, the developing of parlung, all the processes that Olga described, they start as well. Then they had this contact of their stomachs. So they touched one another's stomach or with their stomachs. And there was the resonation between their parlungs, and something unbelievable happened. Their stomachs, they started to disappear, and the portal was opened. Unfortunately, this person, this man, gets a little bit afraid, and they didn't finish the process, so Olga cannot tell where this portal leads. Well, when that person calmed down, and of course it was not the fear, it just was very unusual to him. So in 2 days, when he decided to continue, Olga told him to proceed further, and Olga thought that the portal will be opened once again and she will be able to explore it. But something unexpected happened. their hearts was combined, and it's difficult to explain, but literally they had like a one heart for two bodies, and there are no words to explain it. That was the experience, and in that case he was afraid to had this disconnection because they literally had one heart, so they didn't do any sudden movements. So the person asked to stop the process and they stopped. And those are the instant processes. It's like seconds for the process to go. They actually didn't do any specific things. It just happened as if two magnets were magnetized together. And in several days, Olga offered to try once again. He was ready to explore, but once again, the unexpected thing happened. He was like burned from the inside. He had the sensation that he was on fire, and he started to sweat, and it was like the enormous amount of sweat, as if he was in the shower, and Olga had to use the towel. Olga felt as if, I don't know, a knife with the flames was like stuck in her throat, so it started to burn from the inside, the metal sensation which burned from inside. The person asked to stop the process because for him it was difficult to cope with this heat. This was like the last day, so the person left and they had no more ways to practice. So for the first time, they connected on the area of their belly buttons, on their stomachs. And the second time, they connected on the area of their hearts. And for the third time, they had the connection on the area of their throats. And Olga realized that she found a portal and she wants to explore it. And it's very easy to open this portal. And Olga had the seminar in Bulgaria. So there was not the seminar. Olga just went there, but there was a person from Bulgaria who asked her to perform the seminar for him, and she did it. And Olga had 2 weeks, and for this period of time, for 2 weeks, she taught the person how to develop the Perlung, how to start the Perlung at all. And with this person, they had the same processes, the same experience, but Olga had to leave, so they stopped as well. And when she was in Moscow, she had the female students, and she tried to perform the same thing with them, but apparently it didn't work. There was no connection between like plus and minus. Tomorrow, she will have the students, and she will practice this with them, and she will share these results on the September on this YouTube stream. So you are welcome to join. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Christian.
Olga, thank you everyone. Thank you, Jen, for helping, and we love you. Спасибо, Olga. Я люблю тебя. I want to share a personal experience. I was having a really weird time here. I was having some pains in my body before Olga started, and now it's all gone. Thank you. Спасибо.